You can go to any PTA meeting or Little League game, and you will see at least 5 moms that look like Longlegs. How's it going, creeps? Welcome back to Cinema Creep. Cinema Creep is a place where we discuss, dissect, and review all things vile, disgusting, and downright terrifying in the world of horror cinema. And tonight is no exception because we are going to be talking all about the film Longlegs from 2024, written and directed by Osgood Perkins. So it's been about a week since the opening night for Longlegs, and I have since been thinking about the way that I want to approach this review and replaying the movie in my head, and that's mainly because the movie wasn't what I expected it to be. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I needed some time to separate my unmet expectations of the film and the actual quality of the movie, and I needed to separate those two. So before we get too far in this review, I want to let you guys know that before I talk about any spoilers in this film, I'll let you guys know ahead of time so you can stop this review if you haven't seen the movie yet. So if you don't know, the movie follows FBI agent Lee Harker, who is a new recruit assigned to an unsolved cold case of an elusive serial killer. As evidence of the occult begins to surface, it's up to Harker and partner Carter to catch the killer before he kills again. The first thing you'll notice when watching the movie is that it is not exactly a horror film. The movie was definitely marketed like a horror film and to the horror crowd, but it's 1000% a crime thriller with a little bit of horror added in. And with most crime thrillers, Longlegs is also a slow burn. And even though I can appreciate films like that, I was truly hoping this one had a bit more action to live up to the pre-release hype. I will say though that the movie is shot beautifully and delivers tons of creepy atmosphere. That helps it feel more like a horror film and increase the anxiousness and the impending doom of the film's climax. The acting overall was pretty good, with the standout character to me actually being Agent Carter, played by Blair Underwood, who was the partner to Micah Monroe's Agent Lee Harker. Underwood played his character in a very convincing way, and he just had a really good on-screen presence. Micah Monroe, being a talented actress, was sort of disappointed in this film as her character is portrayed as cold and stoic and sort of numb, and she's just not that interesting to see in this film. Nicolas Cage, who plays elusive serial killer Longlegs, does what Nick Cage does best, and he gives this role everything he's got. If you're a person that doesn't like Nick Cage, then you're gonna hate that. But if you're like me and the Cage Master can do no wrong, then you're gonna like how Longlegs is portrayed, because this motherfucker whines, moans, and sings show tunes all while attempting to be frightening. And from the 5 minutes worth of research that I've done, he accurately portrays a sociopath, which is a lot scarier to me than the diabolical acting villain and how most crime thrillers portray serial killers. Just imagine being kept in the basement of a full-grown man who loves singing show tunes who also wants to kill you. That's fucking frightening. But despite all his rage, he is still just Nicolas Cage in this, and you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it depending on your level of stupidity. Me, I'm real dumb, and I was into it. However, the story is not new, and you learn pretty early on there's a theme of the occult and Satanism driving the murders, and even though the film starts out really strong in my opinion, it loses so much steam throughout the entirety of the movie because it suffers from trying to be 2 completely different movies in one, and then ultimately ends with no real climax or satisfaction. You know, sort of like Prom Night. And honestly, I think you will feel yourself liking the film less and less the longer you watch it, and unfortunately for me, this one was all hype, and I'm gonna rate it 2 out of 5 creeps, and it hurts me to say that because I was extremely stoked for this movie. And if I was you, I wouldn't spend more than $10 a ticket to see it if you feel that you have to absolutely see it in theaters. But I would probably wait till it comes to streaming. And if you go into this movie expecting a horror film, you are going to be sorely mistaken and extremely disappointed, because it is anything but that. It is a crime thriller. Even though it is not as good as movies like Seven, Silence of the Lambs, or Prisoners, it's sort of in the same vein as those. So that's what you need to prepare yourself for. It's crime drama with a little bit of horror sprinkled in. So here we are, and I want to talk a little bit more about the movie details and the things that I didn't like. So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want it spoiled, then now is a good time to turn the video off and come back after you've seen it. So to me, it seems like Osgood Perkins tried to write disturbing scenes and scenarios and then crafted a story around those scenes because, as I mentioned earlier, the film seems like it has two different films contained within it. It is part possessed haunted doll story and part serial killer story. Each one could have existed on its own, but for some reason he tried to combine the two, which I think just muddied the overall effectiveness of the story and sort of made each story or each plot a little weaker. Also, the theme of Satanism and the occult has been an easy out for screenwriters lately, and you would think that we are in the satanic panic of the early 90s with how much we like writing about this right now. It's just not that interesting or frightening in 2024. I probably have half a dozen Satanists that live in my neighborhood. Either that or they just really like the Renaissance Fair. It's basically the same thing, right? They both wear cloaks and sacrifice virgins and stand out in the street with candles in the middle of the night and look into my window. I should probably move. It's honestly not all bad though. The movie does have some cool parts. The first 15 minutes or so of the story starts out great with 4x3 framing and Perkins deciding to partially hide Cage's face. This adds intrigue and mystery to his character, but as soon as you find out more and more about the character and seeing more and more of Longlegs, you realize what you were envisioning in your mind was a lot scarier. I really wish they would have obscured his face more. Nick Cage is wearing full face prosthetics in the film and it looks horrible. The makeup is so damn bad that it honestly takes you out of the film. Longlegs look like one of the Wayans brothers from White Chicks, and that's all I could see every single scene he was in. You can go to any PTA meeting or Little League game and you will see at least 5 moms that look like Longlegs. I wish I wouldn't have thought about that. That's actually fucking terrifying. And apparently the special effects makeup artist has come out since the film's release and stated that the reason the prosthetics look the way that they do is because Longlegs is supposed to look like he's had botched plastic surgery over the years in an effort to make himself appear more beautiful to Satan. Yeah, you know, that would have been a sick reason only if it would have been included in the film as a plot point or a detail. And if that's true, which I doubt it, it doesn't change the fact that the prosthetics are terrible. And I would come up with an elaborate excuse as well if I was on the special effects team of why the makeup looks so bad. And like I mentioned a little earlier, I think that we see way too much of Nick Cage in the movie anyway for him to frighten effectively. If they would have kept his face obscured, with good prosthetic or not, for most of the film, it would have made the film instantly better and a lot more terrifying. Again, allow the audience to fill in the blanks of what scares them. Instead, we get beat over the head with Nick Cage's Benjamin Franklin looking ass and spoon-fed a lukewarm Satanism story and told it's supposed to be the scariest film of the year. They obscured his face in the trailer and we all, in our mind, came up with what we thought he would look like. And then they let us down when the makeup looked so bad when we saw the movie. I didn't like the plot point of Monroe's character having a special ability of being half psychic, when in the end it turns out, oh wow, you just actually remembered your childhood. Fucking dumb and a wasted plot point in my opinion. Also, the way that Longlegs gets caught in the movie standing at a fucking bus stop, are you kidding me? How fucking generic. The whole scene was just bad and Oz Perkins should feel terrible, letting that actor who played the arresting cop that yells at Longlegs get away with that terrible performance. It's just awful. The movie doesn't live up to the hype, the story isn't great, and overall the ending will just make you mad because nothing gets resolved. There is nothing deep or compelling here about Longlegs. And honestly, I think this is a prime example of what nepotism looks like. That's it. That's my review. I actually like the film less the more I talk about it. So don't forget to let me know how many creeps would you rate Longlegs down in the comments, and also don't forget to let me know what your favorite serial killer film is. Also, don't forget to check the description for cool ways to help support the Cinema Creep channel. And last but not least, don't be a chud and like the video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more killer content here from the Cinema Creep channel. And that's it. Stay creepy, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.